Good day, my people. So, just a fun one today. Just going to, I'm gonna address something that someone said in the video. Wait, let me actually go to my YouTube and optimize video. So, someone in this thread, like, posted something. I have to watch this video, dude. Where are you now? Damn it. There we go. So, we were talking, and actually, like, he's seems like a really cool dude, but there was something in, by the way, if the person watching this video, I did respond to you if you didn't see the comment. I did explain what I meant. In this video, his video, there was someone who said something about, like, oh, why didn't you, like, compare older Zen versus new Zen? Like, why are you pushing Intel? And you know what, I do kind of agree to an extent. I do agree. You know what, I'm actually gonna give a practical example, because I actually am considering buying this because it's actually a really good deal. So this is our classified site, the one that I use, Carbonite. I've been using it for the last 6 years. This is the only reputable enthusiast site for selling high-end PC parts, etc. You can sell, like, you know, well, if you're South African watching this video and you don't know about Carbonite, I'd be surprised, because you probably wouldn't be watching my channel if you didn't know the site existed. For overseas people, this is more like our OCN slash... Yeah, this is more like our OCN. This isn't like an eBay, because eBay is kind of like Gumtree, right? And Facebook Marketplace, it's similar type of thing. eBay does have buyer protection, but it's a similar idea. Carbonite is more of a reputable marketplace where, like, people have ratings, and you can kind of... You suss out scammers get called out, scammers get banned, made an example of. So it's quite a nice community, and we have chats in here and stuff. So, I found this particular ad. I was actually an idiot. I thought I actually didn't do the math on it, so I actually asked the guy for a slight discount because I was considering buying it. And then when he explained the math to me, I was like, oh crap, because I actually completely, like, messed up the calculation. So actually he was selling his stuff at, like, a ridiculous deal, and I was like, oh yeah, you're right, sorry, and I apologized. I'm actually selling my older, like, stuff because I wanna buy this combo because it's actually really good, like, a good value. And I've always wanted this motherboard. So this right here is probably my favorite board ever. No, that's not true. It's one of my favorite boards ever. Like, I love this motherboard. So, fun fact, there's an individual that's a really well-known figure in the Call of Duty scene in our country, named Dalray, who had, you know, he got sponsored a build by an organization that he was part of. And, this is the board I picked for him, because at the time when we built this rig, this board was like the board. Like, this is the board you would buy if you had all the money in the world, and it's a lovely board. It was the first board that had the active OC switcher for Zen CPUs. So basically, this board could switch between manual all-core and PBO, which is insane, because it basically means you don't have to worry about PBO shortcomings for manual OCs, because PBO doesn't optimize all-core OCs with heavy current workloads well. It just doesn't know how to handle the voltage and stuff. It sets the voltage way too high, runs the clock speed way too low. It's very inefficient at doing so. So I don't know why, but that's how it's always been. So this board has a configuration thing where you can change between manual and PBO, and it does it better than the Gigabyte boards, in my opinion. Like, this board does it in a far more intuitive way than the Gigabyte boards. This is actually a really good board. And at the time, for what Asus was offering, this board was like... Asus usually offer you extremely bad value with extremely diminished components, like the cheapest kind of high-end components they can give you. I'm not trying to insult Asus, it's just the honest truth. Like, they give you a board that's like the bare minimum of what, like, that price bracket and that, like, category of product can offer you. But this board wasn't that. This board at the time was, like, absolutely, like, completely maxed out, insane board. Like, it had a great PCB. Somehow, the memory topology was really good, even though the other Asus boards had really bad topologies. This board didn't. This board could run memory just fine, ran memory very well, actually. Came with a postcode, well, a lot of boards do, but came with a postcode. At the time, this VRM back this time was very, very strong. They have 90 amp Texas Instrument power stages, which is like, I mean, usually you're getting like from Renaissance, even ISL. Not to say TI are better, but I mean, they're kind of expensive. And then, you know, you're getting like, well, other than that, it's really just the linear upgrade from the normal hero. But this board was something else, man. I really like this board. This board was like it's almost like the person that made this board no longer works there, because I don't know, this board was just great. I love this board. Anyway, so let me just stop perving over this board. But so the pricing works out to this. So basically what you're buying is you're getting, if I got a notepad, I don't know if I can make an example out of his deal, but it's a really good deal. Like, I'm giving compliments here. This is props. This is me giving him props. So 5950X at 8,000 Rand, which is a great deal. Dark Hero at 4,500 Rand, which is also a good deal. And then you get 32 gigabytes of, you know, kind of bog standard RAM. To be fair, it's just bog standard G skill, 3200 C16. Not the greatest RAM, but not terrible either. Just like bog standard 30 gigabyte RAM for 1.5, which is extremely cheap. So you're paying. Yeah, I know I just opened a separate tab for no reason. So you're paying $84 for 32 gigs of RAM, which is obviously not a bad deal at all. That's a tremendous deal, actually. Not fast RAM, but it's still RAM. It's still good RAM, like, for the price. It's always about the value. It's never about the actual, like the value always matters. Like, value is very, very important. Like, everything is contextual. So you're paying 250 for the Dark Hero, and then you're paying the 16 core. You're paying 448. So, in my opinion, like yes, this 16 core will lose to the 7700X in gaming, right? But in terms of workstation stuff, like you know, any sort of benchmark, multi-threaded benchmark, any sort of rendering application, this thing will absolutely dunk on the new 8-core. So the CPU at this price is really, like, respectable. Like, it's a very respectable deal. And you get very, like, similar deals to these on eBay right now with Ryzen 5000. So yeah, in terms of second-hand Zen 3, you can get some insane used deals, like some very good value for money. I mean, like this combo in general, well, the combo entirely, is 785. So you're paying about MSRP of the 16 core for the 16 core across a Dark Hero and 30 gigs of RAM. That's incredible. That's a great value. Like, this is insane value, and this is exactly what's happening right now. And it's part of why buying Zen 4 still doesn't make sense. Like, irrespective of whether you like Intel or not, they don't buy Intel. But, like, Zen 4 itself versus Zen 3, you know, good deals, it's just not even a competition, right? So that's that addressed. Now, next thing I want to talk about was this hub. I like hub. Really? Are you not going to give me the channel? I mean, I don't follow these people. No offense. So, hub made a video. It's where is it? Wait, it's hub shorts, sorry. Or hub clips, wasn't it? Clips? Where is it now, man? Wait. This is very funny, by the way. Yeah, I haven't seen the movie. It's actually really, really good. Here we go. Hub. Yeah, it is hub clips. I knew it. So in this, they basically now I'm gonna play a segment of their video. I'm not trying to, like, hate on their opinion. Their point's fine. I've got no problem with their opinion. It's completely fine. It's totally, like, reasonable. But as you guys can see from the comment, this is what my opinion is, and I have a very reasonable argument for why.
4080 12 gigabyte. It has to be.
Okay, so
let's go, Tim.
Around the announcement. Question is, should it be named the 4070? Well, I assume NVIDIA will be producing a 4070.
Yes.
So
Which doesn't change anything, but go on.
doesn't change anything, but I think if you're talking about in reviews, should reviewers be renaming this product in reviews?
Yeah, you can't do it, unfortunately.
Not really feasible.
That's more confusing.
More confusing when the 4070 comes out. Should it be named the 4070?
It should be called the fake 4080. That's what we should call it.
It's the fake 4080.
The fake 4080.
Yeah, the fake 4080.
Okay, so I want to play you that, and then I'll play you this.
We put by up to 60.
Give it a second. So it's somewhere. Yeah.
GPU over the RX 6600.
Here we go. Here we go.
GPU
Guys, listen very, very closely to what he says.
over the RX 6600. To which they replied that the RX 6600 doesn't have feature parity with the A750. When compared to Radeon 6000, Intel claimed, ARC has much better ray tracing, AI acceleration, and media encoders that make it a much closer competitor to the RTX 3060.
Stop right there. Okay, let's explain. Why? So, do you guys recall last year when make this font a little bit bigger, I think. Did I? I'm stupid. It did though. Huh? Wait. I don't know, whatever. Anyway. You guys recall this? So when this happened, right? This happened. And what is one of the arguments for one of the cards AMD dropped? And that was, card had okay, so why? Think about this logically, guys. If a company is making a cut down die, right? So I think the card was the 6600 XT, but it might have been the 6500 XT. It was one of the. I think no, this was the okay. Was this the okay card? This one is okay. I mean, it's okay in performance, but I mean, I don't know if it was the card that like had the cut down stuff initially, but yeah, we go. Yes. It was. So when this card came out last year, this card was kind of like one of the controversial things was this card had a 4.0 8x interface. So why is this important? And then why is the fact that they made a 6600 important? And it got worse. It got worse, man. It got worse. Same 8x again, obviously. And then I think this one had just same card, more or less, just cut down and slightly slower clock speed and stuff. So it was like a downgrade version of the 6600 XT. Okay, but and by the way, 128-bit bus. Observe, where is it now? There we go, 128-bit bus. So horrible bus width. Performance at 1440 4K and plus is just atrocious, man. Atrocious. Absolutely horrendous. Because with this kind of bandwidth, you're just screwed, man. So then they made this monstrosity, which, I mean, look, contextually at the time wasn't that bad of a deal, but my god, dude, like, dude, 64-bit bus, dude, 64-bit, double digits, my guy, double digits, dude, like, what, bro, dude, X4, dude, what, bro. Do you know what this thing costs to make? Like, this must have cost them like $50 to make. On God, dude. There's no way. There's no way this thing costs more than $50 to make. Like, Lisa Sue, you can't be lying to me. Like, this thing did not cost you guys anything close to 200 dolans to construct. This thing is absolute trash. This is like, literally, like, this is like, oh my, dude, I don't even know, bro. Like, this is crazy. Like, dude, 64-bit bus, dude. 4X, like, come on, man. Come on, man. Like, do you know a few traces that thing must have had coming from the PCI finger, bro? That thing is literally a bare bones card, dude. The thing is just like, it's literally just like a minimalistic board with a bunch of random, like, caps and transistors every caps and like what do you call it, there's caps, resistors, and like a few power stages, maybe like 5 power stages like sprinkled around the die, and the die is like this tiny little thing in the middle. I'm telling you right now, man, this thing costs nothing to make. And then we talk about this thing, dude. This is not a graphics card. Like, my friend JD would agree, this is not a graphics card. This is a media accelerator. Like, this thing cannot play games. Like, dude, like, I mean, dude, like, bruh, like, this is literally like a Wi-Fi card, bro. Like, and for 160, they were literally scamming you. I'm sorry, it's a scam. Like, bro, like 3 teraflops, dude. It's like this is like an Xbox 360, not even, bro. This is literally like is this an Xbox 360? I mean, I don't think it would even game as well as a 360. I mean, maybe it will. It might. I mean, if you say, oh, dude, 360 was a good... I mean, it was a good console, but, like, keep in mind, it came out in 2005. So if this thing is, like, on par with 360, and it's 2022, this thing... not a good product. But anyway, so, they came out this year, so... so anything between the 6400 and 6600 XT were all incredibly cut down GPUs with sacrificed features, like things on the die that they omitted. Now, why? Because there is a give and take. Like, die area matters. So when you're talking about a die area like 100mm squared, right? For this process, for this enhanced 7nm process from TSMC. It's 6nm, but not really. It's kind of like 7nm plus, basically. Anyway, at this die size, you're now contesting between memory controller, right? Memory controller. So memory PHYs, and that's why the bus width's important, right? So memory PHYs, you're contesting with whatchamacallit, like units that you can't really shrink, like stuff that handles display out, stuff that handles like scheduling of tasks, stuff that handles like certain types of encoding and workloads, like certain accelerators on the die, things that like handle. I'm not even an engineer, but like this is how a GPU works. It's like there are certain parts of the die that are responsible for like different types of rendering, different types of shading, different types of physics stuff, different types of texture stuff, like just different components. And then there's other like things within the I think they're called SMs, right, on this thing, or CU, sorry, in the CU, that like so basically in order to make these like tiny GPUs, like some of the features were kind of like sacrificed. Like some of the transistor budget was not spent on supporting things. So like Linus said in the video, basically why the 6600 is such a bare bones kind of like low end card that is not really on par with a 750, even though the 750 in that card might be somewhat performance similar in gaming. There are so many things you lose on that card that actually the 750 becomes a compelling purchase, because it's like the 750 can do things that the 6600 just doesn't have the die transistors to do. Like it doesn't have like certain feature support to an extent where you can actually use the card for whatever sort of encoding slash like niche application you might be trying to run or whatever. Like there's certain things that aren't just gaming that these cards can do, and depending on how the die is, how the different like parts of the die are allocated, you can't always support everything. Like, if that makes sense. I'm not trying to make this like that technical, because it's not meant to be technical. Like, I'm trying to hopefully make this video to reach like the average consumer, because I think this is an important thing to understand for everyone, because it's purchasing decision. It's like trying to explain to you, I guess in a way, no, like now just stupid, whatever. Anyway, to get back on topic, like what I'm trying to say is that the smaller you go on the die, the more stuff you omit. Like the more convenient stuff you commit, like the more like stuff that you would like to have but don't necessarily need to actually play a game. Like you will lose elements because the die area is just not big enough to support the inclusion of those factors. Because the fact of the matter is, companies make their money selling GPUs to us for gaming. So as long as the FPS number and the value proposition makes sense, they will try and get away with as little they can offer you as possible that you will not query. So if you don't know your card can't render whatever application effectively, like let's say your card is like 10 times slower than the 4080 in the application just because it's got like the omission of this like certain die element, well, you'll never know because most gamers will never check. So they'll never try, and then therefore their card runs a game fine, it's cheap, and then Nvidia saved a bunch of money, the die is tiny, it doesn't cost them any money to make the card, so they win and you kind of lose. Now, why is that important? Because let's look at the 4080 12 gig and let's compare it to the 3060. So, and we'll even go compare it further to like 2060. I'm sorry, I'm typing in the RTX name afterwards. It's annoying, I know. So can I get specs, please? I want TPU because they always compile it nicely. I like TPU. Anyway, okay, so here we go. So this die is, oh, this is 16 gig. Okay, we'll keep it here. We'll keep it here for the time being. We'll leave it for later on. We'll look at the 16 gig, but let's look at the 12 gig because that's the one that I'm trying to focus on. In before Nvidia had them take the page down. Nah, I think they can do that. Okay, so here we go. 295mm squared. So, tiny die, right? 445. The 2060 from Turing, their 60 class card, that MSRP'd at 350, has 150mm squared bigger die. Now, whoa, relax. All you tech nerds, I know. It's not the same thing, because this card is built on 12nm, right? This card is built on 4nm. So yes, the transistors are far smaller. Probably not 3 times, right? Like what the direct math would tell you, but they're definitely far tighter. So the transistors are far smaller. Therefore, you can pack more transistors into a small area, right? Just it's basic logic, right? A basic deduction. Obviously, the smaller the transistors, the process size. I mean, well, the smaller the gap between the transistors, the gate is, the smaller the gate length, the less die area you need, right? Obviously, and then obviously you can yield more dies on the wafer, right? So now the thing is, even considering the process size, you have to understand that generally speaking, Nvidia does not just go oh well, because the thing is, it doesn't cost them that much more money to make this card than this card. It does cost them more, and obviously Moore's Law is dead mentioned in a video, he doesn't believe Nvidia really worried about the cost of production because they thought that mining would be forever, right? So maybe this card does cost a lot more to make, but it doesn't cost that much more to where now it's $900 that's not, this card should not be $900. They do not have to charge you this money. Please, if there's anything you want to take away from this video, this price does not make sense. It's not fair in any capacity. It's a stupid price. It's ridiculous, okay? This 3060 has 8nm, so Samsung 8nm is more like TSMC, I don't know, 9, 10nm, I guess you could say. Die area is smaller. And guess what? The card wasn't that much faster than 360, okay? So, but again, you've barely increased die size, right? And by the way, this node wasn't cheap either. So, this node wasn't cheap. You barely increased die size, and somehow the card is now 3 times the price. Now, you can make all the arguments you want to make. This card is almost as fast as a 3090 Ti. In raster performance. This card has great DLSS AI, whatever, frame creation, so you get more frames, so the card is magical, and it can do sorcery and stuff. All great, all well and good, okay? the fact of the matter is, this card has a 192-bit bus. That means it's got 6 memory PHYs. So if I do 192 divided by 6, 32 bits. So yeah, usually, and I'm not sure why this is the rule, but generally speaking, each memory PHY on like modern GPUs will equate to 32 bits. Sorry, not 300, 32 bits. So 32 times 6 is going to give you the bus width. So there's 6 PHYs on, for example, a 48 16 gig, and like the 3070, you would have had 32 times 8. So you would have had a 256-bit bus, and then for 10 PHYs, like a 3080 had, you would have 10 times 32, and then you would get there your 320-bit bus. Sorry. Then if you want to go to like 12 PHYs, which is standard. 11 happens, but it's not common. But okay, let's say 11. So like a 2080i, for example, 11 times 32, and there you go, 352-bit bus, right? And that's why. So why this? So 11 PHYs, 11 gigs of VRAM. So what does that mean? Obviously, you have 1 gigabyte G6 chips on that card, and that's how the math works. It's very simple. Like, you can find any card you want. Like, you can even go like 2080 Ti specs, and I'll show you. So it's I mean, I'm sure you've noticed it, but so notice 11 gigs of VRAM, just like 1080 Ti. What bus width? 352, right? Let's find it. It's where's it now? Here we go. 352 divided by 11. For 11 chips, 11 PHYs addressing each 1 gig chip. And there you go. So, 32 bits. So, 6 PHYs, oh sorry, this is 8 PHYs, this is a 16 gig card. 6 PHYs on this one, right? Small die size, right? What does this mean? This card has, like, it has a very small portion of the die dedicated to the IMC. Now, if this card had 8 PHYs, it would have to be a bigger die, which means it would cost more money to make, which is why this card exists, right? Now, why should you find this weird? Like, now, by this point, you might be thinking, oh, well, dude, it's, you know, they showed the numbers, whatever, like, I don't get it, Dane, like, I don't understand, like, you're making sense. The fact of the matter is that with these die sizes, and with this selection of memory bus, okay, NVIDIA were able to save a lot of money making these cards. Like, these cards, for what they perform like, did not cost nearly as much to make as what you might think, given the price tags, which are not cheap. This is the most expensive 80 class non-TI card ever. Ever. Okay? Like, you'll find 3080, and I'm going to show you. Like, a 3080 has 628mm squared on Samsung 8M, which is not, again, not a cheap node. It's cheaper than TSMC N7 was, but it's not a cheap node, okay? 320-bit bus, massive bus width, massive die again. Right? Now, although you might say, oh, sure, well, this thing has a lot more transistors and stuff, and again, the process nodes are much more shrunk down, so that's part of why this is possible, right? Like, they made a great product, but the fact of the matter is, even as great as this product is, it should not cost this price. They could sell you this at $800. And you know what? It wouldn't even be fair, because I would probably say that, okay, what would be fair is, I believe this, because I get it, they're very fast cards, I get it, so I would say this, to be reasonable. Wait. 4060, right? That would make sense. Wait, so I think so if 2060 came out at 350, right? 3060 came out at 330. Well, it wasn't 330, but it was technically 330. Make it like you know, make it like a, let's be fair to them. Let's say 450, right? Like 450. We'll make the 16 gig card. So now, what does this remind you of? This reminds you of what people were saying this gen would bring. We were supposed to get a 3080 Ti card on, like a card on par with 3080 Ti, maybe a little bit faster. It was meant to be the 4070. It was meant to come out more expensive than the previous 3070 because it was just a far better card. And at 650, it would have made complete sense. I would have been fine with it. The problem is these people went and made it fucking 1200. Like, that's the problem. Because at this point, I mean, they're probably still making, like, double their money on the card's production. This is literally like, I'm 4 times, like, surely. So we can talk about the 90 now. The 90 is a GA102, a real GA102, so a real big boy card. With the big bus, but you can tell it's a serious card because it's got the bus width. So the thing is, the 4090 probably could have been the new 3080. Like the 4090 could have been. It could have been. So it could have been 4090. We could have been. Here's a problem too. They went and made the stupid 90 nomenclature, but then last year they made the 1980 on the same fucking die, which didn't make sense. Like, Nvidia, you guys fucked yourselves. Like, this was on you. Like, I feel for them. This was on them. Like, they felt like AMD was gonna compete, which they did, and they wanted to offer good value and be competitive and offer a good product. They launched this monster for this price, and then somehow it never gets sold this price because of mining. But whatever, I get it. And they offered you a GA102 on the best card and the second best card, and somehow, miraculously, this card is double the money, which made no sense, okay? And this ended up becoming like the best value GPU of all time, ever. They were offering you a GA102 massive die at 700 that was like bodying the 2080 Ti, which made no sense. Nvidia made a great product, and then it all just got mucked up. And then they ended up realizing the next gen really, that like, oh, we couldn't do this. Like, oh, what do we do now? Like, I don't know. And then they fucking did this, which is so dumb. Like, how can you have a 192-bit bus card, 256-bit bus card, 379mm squared, and this card was 628? Like, for goodness sake, the 2060 had a bigger die size than this card. Like, it just doesn't make any sense, dude. Like, the lineage doesn't make sense. Like, you can see how they're offering you less of a product, like, each time. Like, how they like, are able to, stretch their margins, right? So, this I understand, because now it's like, what do you do? If you're NVIDIA, do you make, because the 4090 is a monstrous card. Like, I like the 4090. I think it's a good value compared to these cards. These cards are fucking trash. Like, these you shouldn't buy. If you want to buy a new card, buy this card. Absolutely. Buy the 90, because these cards aren't worth your time. Like, these are just money-making machines. They're complete horrendous value. Like, this card being nearly the same as, like, this card being $400 away from this card. Like, okay, this card's price makes no sense, but it's the fastest. This card's price makes no sense, full stop. Like, they're offering you a bargain bin, cut down, trash fucking, die, and then they're offering it to you this price. Like, it's a joke, dude. It's insulting. So, this card with this bus width is an actual big boy card, right? 608mm squared. So, almost, like, not quite double, but a huge difference in die size, because this is actually a 102 card, right? On 4nm. And they're offering you the entire bus width. So this is actually the 3090's competitor. Like, these cards are competing. Right? Like, these are actually in competition. And you know what? The problem is that how they handled. Now, what they could have done is they could have made a 4090 at like $1,400, maybe even $1,300, right? And then made it the direct competition of this card, and that would have been fair. Because it's not that much faster. It's 60% faster than this card. Or sorry, this card. So, I mean, they could have made it a bit cheaper because they should have been faster than 60%, but maybe, you know what, I've seen benches where the card does well, so maybe make it 1,500. I say, you know what, fine. Leave it. It's fine. Okay, we don't need NVIDIA to, like, give us handouts. I understand they're a business. Okay, so 4090 can stay 4090. I don't mind. Not 1,600. Let's leave it at 1,500. Let's be linear here. Let's be, like, reasonable. Let's make it the same value, because I think that's fair. Like, I don't see a problem with it being direct direct replacement. That's fine. These two cards are basically you know, this is this card's successor. Like, this card's got the bus width, it's got the die area that makes sense, it's got, you know, a lot more transistors, it's got 60% more performance in raster, it's got a lot more performance in other like areas. It's a great GPU as an improvement, and you know what, leaving it at $15 is completely fine. It's I think they did enough innovation. So what are the 80 class card? What they would have had to do is actually this, by the way, this is your GA106. Well, sorry, it's going to be 80-106. Or even, let's say even a 105. You know what? Let's say it's a really good 106. Let's say it's a 105. Okay, 105. It's fine. I don't care. 105. Make this your 80-104. And then this is your 80-102, which is completely fine. Well, they find an 80-103. So, an 80-103 could have been... So I want to make some space here. So let me actually make this a bit bigger if I can. Here we go. Okay, there we go. So 8103, what do we do? Because now we have a dilemma. So let's find this card. Let's get the 4090 up again. So we have 128 SMs. Now the full die is 144, I think. So this card's cut down already. So they already, there's a bit of a kind of point of contention, because this card could have, the 3090's competitor could have been a 144 SM card, the full die, because 3090 was almost the full die. It was almost the full 102 die. The 3090i was the full 102 die. So the 3090i, I'll pull that up. Like, sorry. 3090 Super. Okay then. This card was the full die. So 84 SMs was the full die count of the GA102. 3090 at 82, which is still a crap ton. Like, it's totally massive die. It's a, you know, it's a fairly maxed out product, but it's not quite the full die. But it was still a rather premium product, right? So 82 we're not mad about, okay? 84 was the max amount. This card is missing what? How much is that? Like dude. It's missing 16 SMs. So this could have been a 3090. In fact, it could have been 80. This realistically could have been a 4080. But again, like I said, it's too fast. So we're gonna just be fair and say, okay, they can't give you the full die because they don't have to, and it costs them too much money to make the card. They need to have yield, whatever. I get it. There's an argument. There's a very rational argument. So like I said, we leave it. We leave it at $1,500. We leave it as the 3090's replacement. Okay. So what can we do here? We can make a 103. So how do you make a 103? Simple. 384 divided by 32. 12 SMs. I mean, sorry, 12 5s like you would expect. We'll give it 10 or 11. So let's give it 10 because the 3080 are 10. So let's say the 80 class now has 10 SM, 10 5, sorry. So 10 is fine. So we'll do 10 times 32. 320 per bus. That's fine. So now we've got your bus width, the target. That's our bus target now. Okay. Let me put a dash here. Okay. And we can say, okay, this card has 24 gigs of RAM, 2 gig chips, right? Which are cheaper than 1 gig chips, by the way. Or sorry, yeah, it's cheaper to have 2 gig chips than have two 1 gig chips, right? So let's give this card 10 chips again. So just like 3080 had 10 chips, we're giving this card 10 chips. 10 times Micron 2 gigabyte G6X chips. So we're giving this card 20 gigs of RAM. So a good improvement. A very respectable improvement. Okay. And then we're going to have, let's say, okay. So we have 120 SMs. Now we have to be careful because we need to fit inside a die area that makes sense for production costs and whatever. And plus, you know, I'll never get a complete correct because I can't make a die for you guys in video, but let's look at it like this. This costs 280. This costs 295. So let's say a reasonable target would be like 450 to 500, right? Let's say 500, because okay, it's 500 fine, because I mean this costs 380, this is 300, so let's say 500, maybe 480 even. Like 480 should give you enough die area to have the bus width and the amount of SM. So let's say 480 to 500 millimeters squared, right? Right, and then we give the card like, I don't know, 76, but 100 SMs, like 100, like 104 or something, maybe 96 even, like 94 maybe. I like 98. I like 98, dude. Give it like 98 SMs, right? Like. Okay, now you charge like, okay, so these cards are like, this is like 650. You know what? You can even say, okay, let's say these cards are so fast that they had to move up the entire product stack. So let's say they make this $500. We're mad about it, but it's still not terrible. Make this $700. Now we have a $700 4070. Okay, with a 256 bit bus. Okay. Now this card we're gonna make it like, let's say, and this is our 103 by the way. We're gonna make this card like 1,000. Make it $1,000. Okay. So now what are you getting for $1,000? You're getting what I would assume to be. So if this card is 10% slower than 3090 Ti, this card is like 20% faster. Well, I'd say 15% faster. 15%. This card is 60% faster. What am I doing, man? So you see where I'm going with this? Now this card can be like, let's say, it'll end up being, I don't know, probably like 35% faster, right? You know, I'll make some people mad. I think, you know what? Let's be fair. This card might be 20% faster, I think. And this card should be like 5% slower. Okay. So 5% slower in most raster games, 20% faster, 35% faster, 60% faster. In fact, this might even be 40% faster. But you're still getting 40% faster at $1,000. This is what you should have gotten. That's what this should have been. That's a 4080. These are not fucking. This is not a. This is lunacy. It's absolute lunacy. It's like. By this point, like, what is the point of anything? You just like, why even bother naming it then? Like, this is like, imagine they did this. Imagine they were like 3090, right? 4080 Ti would have been 3080. Not even. And they would have been like, oh, 3080 is, 3070 is 3080, 8 gig. And then 3060 would have been, 3080, fucking 6 gig, right? Or would that have made sense? No. So they made the 3060 12 gigs, right? So let's say 12 gigs. Now the problem is this card has 190 plus, so this card had to have 12 gigs. This card, let's say we give it 16 gigs, right? And now what's gonna happen here is this would have been a 320 plus 3080, right? 20 gigs of RAM. That's what they could have done last gen. Or they could even said like, they could have made this like, let's think about how else they could have done it, because no, that would have been more or less, yeah, that would have been right, yeah, that's what it would have been. So 3080 Ti would have been the 3080 with 20 gigs of VRAM and this bus width, and it would have had and they could have done it. Literally, they could have done it. It could have been done. There's no reason why they wouldn't have been able to do this, like, for sure. Yeah, 68 SR, there we go. So it could have been 68 SMs for $1,200. 320 bits, 20 gigs. Now, funny fact, isn't this what it ended up looking like anyway? Like, 3080s ended up looking more like this, right? Like, the 3080 12 gig had this kind of price tag. 3080 10 gig had this price tag, just smaller. It's like they had the 1 gig chips, so it had 10 gigs of RAM. I promise you, if those 2 gig chips existed, I think Nvidia would have given you 20 gigs on the card, to be honest, and made it like more money. But whatever. So this is what it would have been if they followed the strategy. So 3080 Ti would have had 68 SIMs, and they would have had this kind of price tag, this bus width, less than the 3080 Ti had, more VRAM, right? And they would have done 3070 60 gigs. 36 12 gigs, and then it would have been 3080. So it could have been like this. This is a Ti. So it's, oh, it's Ti. That's why it's 68 SMs, and that's, you know, that's how it could have been, really. Like, and this card still would have been like fucking, like, I don't know. Ended up being like 2,000, right? At that point last year. So anyway, like, what Nvidia wanted was this. And we know this because this is what ended up happening. This doesn't make sense. This is what we should have gotten. Right there. That's a 4080. That's a 4080. Right here. That's it.